What's up, my programmers? Welcome back to our channel. And today's episode is a podcast about common problems in Java and Python. Well, this question came from our classmate. So, shall we start?
Yes, let's start our podcast.
So, why does Java require everything to be inside a class? And why is public static void main is so confusing?
Well, Java is required to have classes because it's an object-oriented language, which means it just needs classes and objects to work properly and some organization along with it. So codes in Java must be nested or contained inside of classes so that they can work properly. And for public static void main, it's confusing for beginners actually because you can think of public static void main as the starting point of every Java program. Because public means that it can be accessed by Java anywhere. Static means that it can run without creating an object first. And then void just means that it doesn't have to return any value. And then main is just the name that Java looks for when running the program. So you can just think of Java. In Java, you can just think that public static void main is a starting point. You just have to memorize it and you'll understand it over time as you continue coding in Java. So now, I actually have questions from our classmates about Python 2. So, why do Python programs break because of indentation?
Well, Python uses indentation instead of brackets to define blocks of code. This is very different from Java and confuses many beginners. In Python, indentation is not just for readability, it's part of the syntax. If your indentation is off, Python doesn't know which line belongs together, and this often leads to errors and unexpected behavior. The upside is that Python forces you to write clean, readable code. Once you get used to consistent spacing, Python programs, it actually becomes easier to understand and practice heavy languages. So, I also have another question for the Java. So,
Okay.
why is debugging in Java hard for beginners?
Well, debugging is hard for Python too, isn't it? But debugging feels hard because beginners expect the code to work for the first time that they run it. But in reality, debugging is part of programming, especially in Java. Java errors can just look intimidating, but if you look at it correctly, it's actually very simple and informative. The key is not to panic. In the error message, read the first error message, the first line usually. That's where the error usually is, like for example, the null pointer exception or the number format exception. Those are the types of errors that you need to look out for in Java. And you can use print statements in specific parts of the code to see where the code fails, or you can use a debugger to make it easier and simpler for you. Now, it's my turn to ask the question. So, why does Python feel easy at first but suddenly become confusing?
Well, Python has a gentle start. You can write useful programs with very little code, but this simplicity can hide important concepts in like data types, scope, and object behavior. Beginners sometimes rely so much on Python just working without understanding why. Programmers get bigger, this lack of understanding causes confusion. Without the solution is to slow down and learn what's happening behind the scenes. Python uses Python is simple to write but still follows strict rules under the hood. So, I also have a question for you. Why do beginners struggle with variables changing types in Python?
Changing types? Or you mean data types?
I mean data types.
Okay, so beginners just struggle with data types, usually because Java is a strongly typed language, which means every variable must have a defined type, like int, double, or string that we discussed in the previous episodes. Because beginners often mix types accidentally, like assigning a decimal number to an integer variable, or comparing strings using the wrong method. Because Java won't guess what you type. Java needs your code to be very, very, very specific and very correct. But that is a strength because knowing data types early and when to convert them is actually a very strong kind of characteristic of Java because it makes it more organized. It makes the code more readable, and there's also some logic behind when you code using data types and variables. Once you respect Java's data type system, many mysterious errors disappear. Okay, now I got the last question for you in Python. Are you ready?
Yes, I am ready for the last question in Python.
Okay. So, why do beginners struggle with variables changing types in Python?
Well, unlike Java, Python is dynamically typed. This means a variable can change its type while the program runs. For example, a variable can start as a number and later become a string. This flexibility is powerful, but it can also cause a lot of bugs.
Yeah.
Beginners might accidentally overwrite a number with text and not realize it until the program crashes. A good practice is to be consistent with variable usage and give variables clear names. Just because Python allows flexibility doesn't mean you should abuse it. So, that's all for our questions.
Okay, don't point at me like that. So yeah, actually that kind of cleared up some problems for me too because we're also learning about Python and Python is a lot more confusing to me than Java. How about you?
Well, for me, Java is more confusing than
No,
Python.
no. Python is a lot more confusing because it's so straightforward.
No.
Mm.
For me, it's so. It's like okay, you can just type it really easy, especially on Linux.
Linux, okay. Well, okay, you Linux user. Well, anyways, that's the end of our podcast. Thanks for watching, and I hope that listening to our podcast also cleared up some problems for you. So don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment below, and turn on the notification bell. And we'll see you next time, programmers. Bye.